Put your hands together. Help me welcome to the stage the host of ESPN's First Take, Mr. Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
All right, Stephen A., we got a crowd here full of entrepreneurs, business owners, highly driven people. Let's talk about, give us a little bit of a background, though. When you got started in your career as a young person, did you have this dream, ambition to become a broadcaster? Was it part of your career choice, or did it kind of happen naturally?
It kind of happened. I was a wannabe athlete. I was decent enough to get a basketball scholarship and not much else. And so, but I didn't know that at the time. I thought that I had a bright future in athletics, and then I cracked my kneecap in half my first couple of months in college. And from that point forward, my mother looked at me and said, well, there goes that dream. So what are you going to do next? And I'll never forget, I looked at her and I said, I'm going to be on television. That's exactly what I said. And I plotted my path because I grew up watching Howard Cosell, idolizing him, famed broadcaster, primarily for ABC, Wild World of Sports, doing boxing, doing Monday Night Football and stuff like that. And I idolized him because of his distinctive voice and his unapologetic candor. And I remember many times I would be on television and I'm watching, I'm sorry, not on television, but watching television. And I would watch people and I would literally look at them and say, they don't seem authentic. They don't seem real. And we were living in a different time at that particular moment in time. And so because of that, growing up in the 70s, 80s, stuff like that, you knew there was more neutrality. So even though I was a kid and I would watch The Odd Couple and Honeymooners at Night and stuff like that, I would also make sure I stayed up to watch Ted Koppel on the ABC News Nightline. I'd watch Peter Jennings for World News Tonight. I'd vacillate between him and Dan Rather and Tom Brokaw and those guys. And I respected the fact that they were neutral. But I knew that the audience was craving to know, okay, that's the news. How do you feel about it? Do you really believe that guy? Is he telling the truth, et cetera, et cetera? And I remember telling my mother, make no mistake about it, if I ever get on television, the one thing people are going to know is that I mean what the hell I say.
Yeah, I mean, when you were talking there, the first word that came, the thought that came in my mind was the word authentic. Yeah. When you think about Stephen A. Smith as a broadcaster, I think you have to use the word authentic inside that description, adjectives, et cetera, inside of it. Is that something that you on purposely are continually trying to push and make sure you stay super authentic? Because sometimes you might have a controversial viewpoint of whatever it is. It could be you got Jordan fans and LeBron fans and Tyson and Jake Paul, but you have no problem going deep on your viewpoint. Is that for the purpose to stay authentic?
I think one of the secrets to my success is that I don't consider myself controversial at all.
Not controversial?
Not even a little bit. You ask me a question, I give you an answer.
Interesting.
And I'm going to tell you how I feel about it based on the information that I have. And that's that. I'm not going to spend time exerting myself and extending myself energy-wise, lying and trying to mislead anybody. No disrespect to anybody in this room or anybody out in the world listening, but nobody's that important to me that I have to sit up there and I have to portray a different image just to appease you at the expense of me being comfortable with myself. This is who I am. That's where I stand.
Wow.
That's how I feel, and that's that.
Powerful.
And I think the important thing to bring up is that I'm not always right. None of us are. But when I speak, I actually believe that I'm right in the moment I'm telling you what I'm telling you based on the information I have. And I have an open enough mind to be corrected. So I'm not finite. If I don't see and I'm not an eyewitness to something that I saw with my own two eyes, okay, based on the intel and the information that I have, this is my perspective, this is where I'm coming from. I want you to know that I mean this from the bottom of my soul where I stand. I'm open to being corrected, but I bring receipts. So you better know what you're talking about if you think you're going to correct me. Outside of that, That's it. This thing about let's portray and project this kind of imagery. I ain't got time for all of that.
Yeah. Man, that's super, super powerful because what you're saying is the only way to be authentic is you're literally just being yourself. I like what he said. You said they're asking a question and you're just giving the answer based off of the facts, data, knowledge that you have at that time that you're making a decision on. There's no game or portraying of something. You're just being Stephen A.
Only time I portray anything is when I play Brick on General Hospital. I'm a surveillance expert for the mob. I'm playing a character. That is true. That's about it.
That's impressive. So let me talk about your brand. Like when right now, when you look at, again, broadcasting and sports and so forth, obviously you have, I would believe, one of the largest brands out there in the market right now. When you know that word brand, right? Very, very new, not to say new, but very powerful concept right now that people are always trying to build a brand. Did you ever set out to build a brand?
No, I did not. A matter of fact, I'm uncomfortable when people bring up, even to this day, that I'm a brand, because it connotates, a plot and a plan, something that's orchestrated. And when I'm talking to my audience, it's just like, it's little things that I do. For example, the other day, I shouldn't be telling on myself because I'm in the best shape that I've been in 30 years. My health is great and all of that other stuff. But I rolled up in White Castle the other day. I have to admit that. I was driving by and I was starving for some White Castle.
Sliders.
And I roll up in there and stuff. And, people see you and they come up to you. And sometimes you got to approach me the right way. You can't just roll up on me and say something stupid. I'm just going to look at you. You get too happy with it, I might check you. I'm going to cuss you out. That's who I am. All right, but for the most part, I'm very dialed back. I'm very mild-mannered. I don't bother people. I don't like people to bother me. Be respectful, roll up on me. You got a question, you want a picture, that's cool. But I tell this to stars that I see at games all the time. With them, they want pictures and autographs. With me, they want a debate. I don't debate for free. I get paid to do that. You're not doing that to me. So if I'm in a supermarket, if I'm hanging out with my daughters, if I'm doing something like that, don't come up to me for a debate. It ain't gonna happen. And I'm looking at you like, you better get away from me. Yeah. I don't wanna hear this. And so people will look at that and they'll say, this is part of your brand. What brand? That's been me all my life. Yeah. And it's gonna stay me. And so you evolve, you grow, you mature, you edify yourself, you become more knowledgeable about things, you grow into yourself, and there's a comfort level that comes with it. But when we talk about a brand, people sit up there and say stuff like, man, you so big, you a bigger brand than ESPN. And I look at them like they're stupid, because I'm not stupid enough to believe that I'm bigger than a brand that huge, that's worth about $22 billion a year. No, if I was bigger than ESPN, I wouldn't be working for ESPN. That's how I look at it. And so I understand and I reel myself in. Yes, I have value. Yes, I have something to say. Yes, I've been blessed and fortunate enough by God to be successful to some degree, but I don't lose myself in it. You know what I'm saying? I am who I am, and if there is anything that I would accept and embrace as quote unquote a brand, is my authenticity. I say what I mean what I say, and it's usually based on information, not emotion. Because when it's your emotions, then that's just you projecting your feelings upon other people and wanting them to embrace it themselves. No, I have the information. Based on the information, this is how I feel. You feel the way you want to feel. This is where I stand, and that's how I move.
I like it. Let me ask you this question. Obviously, sometimes on the shows and so forth, there's heated debates, I don't come arguments, just debates and viewpoints, and you're bringing your receipts to the table, and they're bringing their receipts. And there's been all kinds of heated debates in different levels. When the show's over, obviously relationships are extremely important in business and life and so forth. Is that something that you leave there at that table, and you guys, whoever it is?
I do.
You leave it there at the table.
A lot of people don't, and then you got a lot of trolls out there that will see me get into a debate with somebody and they try to make it something more than what it is. And they don't realize that you're actually serving my purpose, because you're talking about me and you're putting me out there in the ether, and you are extending a narrative and going forward, and you think you're hurting me, but you're not. I know what I said. I know where I stand. And in my attitude, in my mind, I've never lost a debate in my life. I either win or I learn. Yeah. Either way, I'm winning. Yeah. So it's like if either my point is going to be superior to yours, or you've educated me about a point that I didn't think about. So because of that, I depart from the debate better than I was when I started that debate. Yeah, yeah. And I'm the one that's going to be on TV 45 weeks a year, minimum of 250 to 300 days out of the year. I'm the person that's got that kind of platform where I'm on TV a minimum of 10 hours a week, minimum. Sometimes 20 hours a week, live television. Ain't no tape delay, ain't no 7-second delay. I'm on live. When you see me on TV, it's live. Yeah. And so I look at all of those things. I look at the cameras. I'm imagining the hundreds of thousands of people watching live, the millions upon people that's going to be watching in the digital stratosphere. I generate over 2.3 billion views annually. I'm thinking about that. And I'm saying live, in the moment, no tape delay, no security whatsoever. You on your own. And I go out there every day. Like, yeah, let's get it on. So I don't worry about it. I don't think about it. When you do this and you understand the combativeness that comes with it and what have you, you're just making point, counterpoint. But I'm usually not worried, because sometimes if you come to a debate with the notion that it's really, really about winning the debate, you already lost to me, because I'm mission-minded. And so there's always a greater mission that's at the end of a subject matter. And I know what it's about for me. So I believe that my mission is bigger than the people that I debate against, although I love and respect all of them. And I don't worry about anything. For better or worse, I'm just one of those dudes that when I'm on television, I just believe I'm the best in the world. Yeah. And that everybody is in my way. Yeah. And just do it.
I was thinking about when you said that you don't lose, and it's a phrase that I say a lot when in entrepreneurship people ask me different questions, and I'll say that. I was like, I just don't lose. And sometimes what they think I mean by that is I'll just keep going and I won't quit. And it's not so much I mean it's the mentality of either I win or you beat me, but I took away 6 more points that I just picked up of how to strategize, refocus, relook at something. Therefore, it's this weird philosophy for 20-some odd years, even when I went down and, say, lost a bunch and went through foreclosures and so forth. Yeah. It was like a loss. I don't even look at it as that. It's a different, unique mindset. Did you over time develop it? Did you learn it from somebody?
Well, listen, all of that's true. But let's just be real about it. I think that the epiphany for me really kicked in when I got fired. 2009, when ESPN decided to let me go. They let me go. Nobody wanted me. I mean, not even BET or TV1. Nobody.
Freeform, nobody.
Nobody. You know, I was persona non grata. And so I remember that, and I had to look myself in the mirror and wonder what that was about. And my mother, God rest her soul, really checked me on that. And she was like, you know, I saw you at home, and I got in my book, Straight Shooter and stuff, where I told the story. You know, she came to me, bagels, eggs, and had a handheld mirror on the tray and was like, I'm just wondering when you're going to look at yourself. And she was like, hey, you know, I understand it might have been wrong. You have 4 jobs, and all of a sudden you have none, but I remember the way you talked about your bosses. I remember how you felt about some of the things that they did. She said, and I told you then I didn't like it. She said, I'm not saying you should have been fired. She said, but the way that you were and the way that you acted, would you have wanted somebody like that working for you? And I had to look in the mirror and say, no, I wouldn't. And so I went on a path and on a mission to really make amends for the wrong that I had done to myself, to the manner in which I had projected myself to other people, to the way I represented who I consider to be the greatest woman and the greatest human being I've ever known, God rest her soul, which is my mom. And so from that point forward, I was on that kind of mission. And then edifying myself about the business, mastering my craft, understanding that popularity ain't commercials and you being on the side of buses and people screaming your name out in the streets. It's about data. It's about information. It's about ratings. It's about revenue. It's about knowing what your value is or having some indication of the value that comes with you being who you are. That was an epiphany for me, and learning more and more about that as a black man, it is the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because the more knowledgeable I became about business, the more I learned to depersonalize the things that were going on. So if this person made this offer to me, if this person came at me with this, I didn't look at it as disrespect. I didn't look at it as racist. I didn't look at it as any of these things. I said, okay, that's a business decision. You sitting across from me, you're gonna try to get the most out of me for the least amount, of course, to you. I'm gonna try to get the most out of you, the most out of you dollars-wise for the least amount of work from me, even though I love working. And so recognizing all of that, I edified and elevated my business acumen. And then when I went out on my own, in terms of starting my own show, the Stephen A. Smith Show, everybody, you got people that got a podcast, they got a camera, they got a microphone, they sitting on the couch, they chatting. I have a studio. I came out of my pocket, $2 million out of my pocket, and 3 PTZ cameras, a jib operator, 13 different employees. I'm doing it. Why? Because it's the future. Yeah. And when you're looking at the future, I didn't want to do a podcast. I wanted to produce a show that could be a podcast. So it could be a podcast. It could be a political show. It could be an entertainment show. It could be a sports show. What do you want? Here, this is what I have. As a result, you have to communicate with advertisers and sponsors. You've got to communicate with technicians. You've got to learn the lingo, all of these different things. And when you see just the inordinate amount of things that come along with business, it's virtually impossible to live and wallow in your personal feelings, because there's so much that's going on. You know, all those people out there don't have time for their personal feelings, your personal feelings, because they damn sure don't have time for their own. And so when you look at it from that standpoint and it's about business, all of a sudden you're ready to do business. And when you're ready to do business, that's how you get paid.
I love it. You know, I have interviewed so many people, but I just thought this while I was up here talking to you.
Yeah.
You mentioned that earlier, going on live TV 10, 20 hours a week.
Minimum.
Sometimes. Minimum. I have been on live TV a handful of times, and that is one of those things that will, when you're first doing it, will shake you to your bone, because there's like, oh shit, yep, we're live. Don't mess up. You know, the amount of what was called stress, pressure of like, there is no delay, it's live. Right. I'm gonna talk to you about communication, the art of communication, because your whole career is really knowing how to communicate a point, knowing how to, you talked about looking to the camera and picturing the people, the viewers listening to you. Right. Talk to this crowd about communication, because in business, one of the biggest things that we do is communicate what we have, our product, what we do. Give us some pointers on what you do to communicate your points better.
Biggest point to everybody in this room: know the difference and commit yourself to being heard, not listened to. There's a difference. When you're listened to, that means you're talking. And somebody is in front of you, whether it's an audience, whether you're on television, radio, in person with somebody, okay, they can quote you. Yeah, they heard you. I heard you loud and clear. Well, imagine if you had a kid. To those of you who do, you know exactly where I'm going. If you don't have a kid, you'll learn. They'll tell you they're listening to you. And they're not lying. They heard you. In ear, out the other. They didn't really absorb what you said, because they really weren't hearing you. They had their objective. They want to be in front of you. Okay, Dad, fine. No. When they hear you, they embrace what you're saying. Even if they're disagreeing, they're able to articulate why they disagree. They can't do that if they just listen to you. They can only do that when they hear you. And so a lot of times what I do is I challenge my daughters. What did I say? Yeah, I heard what you said. I'm going to try it again. What did I say? If you can't tell me what your affront or what your issue is to what I said, I know you weren't hearing me. So I'm gonna repeat myself again. And the next time I have to repeat myself, that's not gonna work out well for you. So listen to me, right? Same thing when I'm talking to the audience. I talk to, whether it's First Take or Sports Center or anything else, I'm talking to my audience, not at them. When people come at me, you could be a Cowboys fan and you going off on me. You could be something, you know, a Knicks fan, or you could be a Lakers, you could be anything. When you're coming at me, what you're not realizing is that you're affirming and confirming. You heard what I had to say because you got a response to what I said. And that is mission accomplished. I'm not out for you to agree with me. I don't care. What I care about is that you heard me. And when you hear somebody, when somebody hears you, then all of a sudden they identify you. When they identify you, that's how you build an audience. When you have an audience, that's how you're able to branch out and create different opportunities for yourself, because there are people actually hearing you as opposed to listening to you. There's a difference, and a lot of people don't understand that.
And that is so unique because I'm processing that, breaking it down, because a lot of entrepreneurs in the room, we're on social media, and sometimes on social media, there's trolls, and sometimes we're afraid to put ourselves out there because we don't want someone to say this, and then we get attacked, and we feel like we got to defend ourselves. Going off what you just said, and then going off what you said earlier, that you, when trolls or whoever it is online, on a Instagram, whatever, are commenting and posting shit about you, it goes back to what you're saying now. It means that they heard you.
Yeah.
They didn't just listen to you because they just listened to you.
They don't realize
they're
playing right into my hands. And let me be completely honest. 99% of the time, I don't hear them at all. I'm not paying attention to them. I'm not going to let them disrupt my flow.
Wow.
You know, sometimes there could be things going on in your life that have nothing to do with your business. But the negativity, just that vibe, that spirit will distract you. You got to know you. You got to know you. A lot of times the last few years, I would come across as a big cantankerous. That wasn't the audience's fault. That was mine. Having headaches, waking up with migraines every day, being skinny, fat with a pot belly, looking nasty. You know what I'm saying? All of this other stuff. Hell no, I wasn't happy with me. So I had to change my life around and to make sure that I got on my game. I've lost, 40 pounds over the last year and a half. I've sat up there. There ain't no Ozempic or anything like that. I'm in the gym 6 days. I'm in the gym 6 days a week. I'm doing cardio 5 days a week. I'm in the best health I've been in 30 years. The migraines are gone. I add sodium to my water. I'm drinking. The headaches have dissipated dramatically. Why is that important? Because I wake up, I'm energized, and I'm ready to go. Yeah, you want to come at me, fine. You think you're important if you're a troll. You're not important, you're a troll, because I'm skilled enough to decipher the difference between a troll and somebody who actually has something constructive to say that's going to edify my mind, body, and soul. So I know that about me. So, okay, now we go from there. And then from that point, you have to take it to another level. Now the folks that you listen to, certain times there's it's cathartic to do this. It is okay, not often, not much, but it is okay occasionally to tell somebody to kiss your ass. It really, really is. It's a really good feeling. You should try it. It really works. You know, don't do it too often. Don't do it too often. Don't become addicted to that. But, you know, every now and then, you got to let somebody know, yeah, this is in you. You see, I choose not to be that way. But make no mistake about it, I'm fully capable of telling you to kiss my ass. Yeah. And so when you do stuff like that, it ultimately helps and assists because you're controlling the narrative. You're controlling the momentum, the energy, etc. They think they're controlling it. They're not. You are, because they're reacting to you. And when you provoke the reaction, you have to remember you're the one in control. And always think about the audience, your business people. You want people to patronize your product, whatever that product may be. You don't deserve it if you're thinking about you instead of them. You've made a decision that you have a product that you can market and sell, that can ingratiate you with an audience that will patronize your product, your brand, et cetera, et cetera. You made that decision. Well, guess what? Even though you want to reap the benefits, you didn't do it just for you. You did it because you're saying, I have something to offer y'all. Well, listen to that y'all. Hear what they say. Know what they want. and then make the decision as to how much you're willing to give them of what they want and how much you're willing to reserve for yourself. These are decisions you make every day. And my advantage is doing something like First Take, working for ESPN and Walt Disney and doing all the things that I do. I wake up every day knowing I'm trying to make that decision on behalf of my audience, not just me.
Man, that is probably the greatest answer that I've ever heard on understanding how to deal with what we just use the word internet trolls for entrepreneurs. I've asked this question to a lot of different people on stage, and they give really good answers. But I love your viewpoint on that. It may be the best thing I've heard in a very long time, because when a troll is talking about you, it means they heard you. And now they are repeating what you said, and they are talking about you, your, I'll use the word brand, or your product, or your company. Therefore, they weren't listening to you. They heard you. Whether they disagree or not is almost irrelevant to you.
They'll lie. They'll say you said something that you didn't say. But the point is, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Because you're still reacting to me.
Yeah.
I'm in control, not you, because you're the one that reached out to me. Yeah. It ain't the other way around.
Man, that is such a powerful freaking outlook. No wonder you're so successful. I'm telling you, my mind is like shifted right now, man. That is really good, especially our day and age. We're running out of time here. Last two questions I hit you with. One is, we always say the money is question. And then I'll ask the money is question, and then I'm going to give it over to you and let you give a final piece of advice to entrepreneurs, business owners, the last things that you say to them. This is what we refer to as the money is sign. Right. I was talking to you backstage about it. Money is blank. And if you put one word in there, or two words, whatever you want to be, what would be the two words Stephen A. Smith would say, money is blank? What does that mean to you?
Can I put 3 words?
Put as many as you want. It's your world.
Conduit to freedom.
Conduit to freedom. That's very unique. A lot of people say freedom.
No,
most answer word.
It's not freedom, because money can imprison you.
Oh man.
If you become addicted to the money,
yep,
and the money starts to control how you think, how you act, the people that you choose to be around, the inner circle or the lack thereof or what have you, money could be the root to the evil that ultimately enters your life and infects your soul.
Yes.
So I say it's a conduit for freedom, because the number one reason why we all want money, people think we want money for lavish lifestyles and stuff like that. The number one reason we want money is because we don't have to want to concern ourselves with being worried about paying our bills and sustaining or elevating our quality of life. You know, I'm making a little bit of money these days, okay? I have a new beautiful house and stuff like that. I don't feel like going to the islands. I don't feel like going to Europe. I can, but I don't want to. I'm perfectly fine being home, okay? What I'm saying is, the bills are paid. I'm good. Everything else I can do, I don't particularly want to. But I know I want a roof over my head. I know I want my cable working. I know I want some AC in my house in the summer and heat in my house in the winter. I know I want food in my refrigerator. I know that I want to put clothes on my daughter's backs and make sure that they have everything they need and most of what they want. That's what I know. And so when money is a concern, all of those things are a concern. When money is not a concern, all of those things are not a concern. And everything else is about your style, your quality of life, what you want to do, et cetera, et cetera. And the word need is eradicated from the sentence and the conversation. And as a result, so is an inordinate amount of stress that ultimately infects your life. When you are stressed, my boy jokes it's bad for the poor. It's bad for a lot of things. People catch strokes, people catch heart attacks, people got all kinds of health issues. And the foundation of that is stress. Cortisol levels building, testosterone levels lowering. It's amazing how vibrant my life is that I'm not as stressed as I used to be. So you got to know these are the kind of things that come with it. And when you learn that stuff, then again, the conduit to freedom, that's what it talks about, because you're free when you're devoid of those concerns, knowing I have the freedom to stay or go. I have the freedom to travel or not travel. I have the freedom to be here or to be here or to be there. I'm not worried about it. That is what money does, but that's all it does. Everything else is you.
I love this so much. Interviewing you is again, your ability to communicate and articulate and describe something. There's lots of story that I rarely tell. I interviewed Mike Tyson, and I asked him this question one time. And it's probably the only interview I've ever done that I was a little bit on edge on, because
you had a good excuse.
yeah, it's like, man, I didn't, go either way. And I asked him this question. I said, money is. And when I asked him, he was like, well, what's the most common answer? And I said, well, probably freedom. Freedom is the most common answer, right? And he looked at me and he said, freedom. And then he started laughing out loud, like hilarious, like slapping his leg, laughing. And then he got up and he started walking around, laughing, just wouldn't stop laughing. And I'm sitting in this interview thinking, my God, what is so funny right now? And then he started asking me, he says, is this a practical joke? He's like, are you punking me right now? Nobody knew what was going on in the room. His like team is over here. They don't know what's going on. He walks to his team. He starts laughing at them. They start laughing because they're freaked out of what's about to happen. He comes back and sits back down. And he's like, for real, man, tell me who said that? I want their names. And I was like, oh my God, he's gonna hunt someone down. But it was, if you know Mike, he has like almost sometimes two sides. He's very philosophical. He's very intelligent in things. And he said, Andrew, money could never just be freedom. Because if you think that money will just give you freedom, then you will forever be enslaved to money.
Exactly.
And you crushed that answer when you said money is a conduit to freedom, but it is not actually freedom, which is what he was saying. He said it can't be, because if money equals freedom, then you're forever entrapped.
Well, let me give you an example of how I can trap you. Like, most men don't want to admit this. When you want money, number one reason you want money is because of women. Now, the fellas, you can either nod an affirmation or you can lie. But it's the truth. You understand what I'm saying? You want that home. You want the nice ride. You want to treat it a dinner. You want to be able to go away. You want to be able to do nice things, okay? Because you want to be impressive. Well, guess what? If that's how you got her, how you going to keep her? Right? How you going to keep her? You see, because my point is you have to think along those lines. You can't be about just the money, because that's how you get enslaved by it. So now all of a sudden everything you're going to do for her involves money. Now that's not to say you don't spend money on your woman, because only a man that's a fool wouldn't spend money on his woman, because she's going to leave you. You understand what I'm saying? You can't be that cheap. You understand? And me being raised by 5 women, I've never had a problem, ever, spending money on a woman, going out to dinner, going out to the movies. You know, I got some of my boys, be like, we going Dutch. I ain't paying for her. That's why your ass gonna be alone. You know, that's just stupid. That's just dumb. That's just dumb, and it's selfish. You know. But my point is that the spending is within line of what I want to do anyway. Right. Do I want to have dinner by myself? Do I want to be at the movie by myself? If I go out for a drink, do I want to be by myself? If I go to a comedy club or a jazz club, do I want to be by myself? And then I look at my boys. Didn't I pay for your ass to come with me too? Did you say anything when I paid for you? You see what I'm saying? So, in other words, it's within reason. It's within reason. But what you don't want to do is find yourself being a prisoner to it, where you think everything that you do has to have a dollar sign attached to it. Because if you do that, then you can't blame her for putting that attaching that value to you with the money, which is what Mike Tyson was alluding to, because ultimately you're enslaved. And he would know. Because just look at his history, his story, and some of the people he had connected to his life, and how it was all about money, male and females. You understand? People wanting to be in his pockets and all of that stuff. And success draws, like moth to a flame. Success draws good and bad. It draws good people into your life that want to help protect you, like my sister Carmen. That's my ultimate protector. Carmen is a warrior. I mean, Carmen, I feel sorry for anybody that even thinks about doing something wrong to me, because my sister's going to be all over them, right? And I got my team back outside, my assistant Sumatra, my bodyguard Juvie. I mean, these are my inner circles. You know, they protect me. But in the same breath, you're going to have other folks that come along, and it's not even about being malicious towards you. It's just that you're successful and they want to attach themselves to that level of success. And they haven't quite figured out how to do it on their own. And so let me attach myself to somebody who can help me get to that point. And they're not even trying to harm you. They're just not thinking about you. And you have to know the difference. A lot of time we're looking for people who actually have malintent and want to harm us, when in fact those who are just as harmful to us don't have those malicious intentions at all. They're just not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. They're inundated with their own desires, their own wishes, and all of that stuff. If you listen to a song by Chris Brown with Lil Wayne, it calls Loyal. There's a line that Lil Wayne throws in there: you all about her, she's all about hers. Male and females. You have people in your life, you thinking about them. The problem is they're thinking about them. Who's thinking about you? So you have to remember, you have to value yourself enough to think about you enough to lock in and to zero in such a way that in order for anybody to penetrate that force field that you have up for yourself, in order for them to get through it, they're going to have to be very obvious with the intent, because they won't be able to get away with it otherwise. You got to make sure you have your force field where this is what I'm about, this is what I'm focused on, all right? Are you with me or you not? Because you know what? You can come take. You can get a little bit, you can do what you got to do, but do not get in my way. Because if you get in my way, I'm going to remove you.
Yeah. I love it. You guys give it up for Stephen A. Smith, greatest broadcaster. What a communicator, man. What a communicator.
Keep it going, everybody. Stephen A. Smith, Andrew Cordle, give it up for him. Give it up for him.